coming up on another Solo Show adventure.
I think that's what you get with the TV series. We got to take a step back and realize this isn't the movies here. If you're watching Ahsoka, you've probably watched Mandalorian. You should have watched Rebels, or at least try to get some YouTube videos to tell you what you're getting into and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, so this has a history there's a backstory to it.
I'd be very curious to know what percentage of people watched Ahsoka that never watched or have already watched Rebels. Like, do you think it's more than half of the people, or do you think it's less than that?
Oh, I bet it's more than half.
Stan welcomes Food Fairy Kris from the GCT podcast and Jedi Scott to the Solo Studios as we discuss the final episodes of Ahsoka. What we loved, what we didn't love, and will there be a season 2? These questions and more coming up right now on The Solo Show. The Solo Show, as always, is brought to you by Victor Naraki Realtor, serving Disney and the greater Orlando area with celebratingflorida.com and disneyatyourdoorstep.com. Realtor Victor Naraki makes living near Walt Disney World a reality, specializing in all the communities surrounding Disney. Whether you're looking to relocate or invest in a new property, maybe you want a vacation home for your retirement. With over a decade of experience in the area, Victor will adapt to your needs, help you find the right property, or get you the best price for your property. Reach out to him today on his website, celebratingflorida.com, or at disneyatyourdoorstep.com. Follow him at Victor Naraki Realtor on Facebook, and don't forget to tell him that the Solo Show sent you.
On our show, the story goes in places you can't imagine, with new characters you've never seen in live action before. Rosario brings people together. She's a perfect leader of the show.
In this story, Ahsoka hears whispers of the Empire returning, and she decides to enlist Hera's help.
We have to prepare for the worst.
Hera Syndulla is the leader of the Ghost Crew. She's a pilot.
Hera is such an incredible leader and fighter.
Mary's just great. I mean, every scene she's in was just awesome.
You and I both know who could help you with this. Oh my God, that is Sabine. Natasha's so perfect for the character.
Sabine's already a warrior and very proven, and she's Ahsoka's former apprentice.
You never made things easy for me, Master. I love Sabine. She struggles with her emotions. She's impulsive. I think she's just relatable. She's got good intentions, but she doesn't always make the right decision.
I love the complexity of the characters in this. They're a bit unpredictable. They're all struggling with a set of circumstances, and they need each other.
Buckle up. This is so powerful. This is provocative, exciting, and fun. I can't wait for people to watch it.
We have a lot of work to do.
Once a rebel, always a rebel.
Rising suns, and welcome to the final episode of the Solo Show doing Ahsoka reviews.
At least for this year, or this season.
Yep.
At least for this year. And maybe there'll be a season 2. We'll talk about that at the end. So we're going to be chatting Ahsoka Part 7 and 8. Part 7, Dreams and Madness, and Part 8, The Lion, the Witch, and the The Jedi, the Witch, and the Warlord. I don't know if I like that title. They should have called it Trading Spaces or Trading Places.
Yeah,
instead.
really.
Yeah. So joining me today is, unfortunately, voiceover guy Ken wasn't able to make it, but I'm assuming Chris was in the studio I was the last one in the Solo studio today.
I've been sitting here for like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Twiddling my thumbs.
Already saying I've been sitting here for a while. Food Fairy Kris from the Grand Circle Tour podcast. How are you today, Chris? And what were your thoughts on these final 2 episodes?
Oh my gosh, I'm good. And these 2 episodes, man, they were. I like the whole season. There was a few things here and there that weren't so, didn't whip me too much, but these 2 episodes were amazing.
I want to talk at the end. We'll kind of whip through this quickly because I want to talk at the end about where we think this is going and our thoughts, where we rank these. So kind of put that in your heads. I guess I could have told you that before we hit record. Also joining us today is Jedi Scott. Jedi Scott, how are you today? And what are your thoughts on the final 2 episodes?
I'm doing fantastic. I enjoyed enjoyed it. I liked it. The last episode was amazing. Even episode 7 was great. I have no complaints. I agree with Chris. There was a couple things here and there overall with the whole series, but you know what? It was solid. It was good.
Yeah, I agree. I think these were my 2 favorite episodes. Kind of sorry these weren't episodes 3 and 4 or 2 and 3, because this is when you I guess I should announce we're going straight into spoilers. If you haven't watched these yet, it's on you, because we give you plenty of time to watch them before we publish these, so you can be sure to check them out if you haven't already. The entire series, if you were to say what was Ahsoka about, chances are you're going to say, well, it's about Ahsoka and Sabine going to look for Ezra, and they get there, and Ezra and Thrawn is there, and Ezra and Thrawn go back, and Sabine and Ahsoka are stuck on the other galaxy. That's what the series was about. Mm-hmm. That was the final episode.
Yeah.
No, true, very true.
It was about the we had the world between worlds, and we had the whole thing with Hera, and we had the building of the eye, and we had all that hyperspace happening, and the Purgles, but none of that was the story. The story was the final episode. Mm-hmm. Or am I wrong?
No, you're right.
It kind of led up to that, yeah.
But I think that's what you get when you watch a TV show, a series. You're going to get stuff where they build up, and you're not going to get a 2-hour thing on it where you got to hurry up and get to it.
Yeah.
You know, it's essentially was probably about a 6.5 hours worth of series here. So you're going to get the little detail stuff on it where they talk about Hera and Ezra and Balin and, you know, just everybody in general. So I think that's what you get with the TV series. We got to take a step back and realize this isn't the movies here.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I guess so. Because I look at, let's say A New Hope. Well, A New Hope was about the droids finding Luke, and then Luke meeting Ben, and Ben they get Han Solo, and then they head out to rescue the princess. They rescue the princess. Ben dies. Spoiler alert. They go back to Yavin. Luke destroys the Death Star. It's like, all right.
That being said, though, Stan, that was our introduction to Star Wars for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know, and for the most part, if you're watching Ahsoka, you've probably watched Mandalorian. You should have watched Rebels, or at least try to get some YouTube videos to tell you what you're getting into and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you know, so this has a history there's a backstory to it.
I'd be very curious to know what percentage of people watched Ahsoka that never watched or have already watched Rebels. Like, do you think it's more than half of the people, or do you think it's less than that?
Oh, I bet it's more than half.
Yeah, I would probably maybe say at least 60 to 70%. But, you know, my mom watches it. My mom's watched, you know, the Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian, but, you know, she never did watch Rebels. Mm-hmm. So she was one in the minority of watching stuff like this. And I know a couple other people that didn't get into Rebels and stuff like that because their thing was, well, it's a cartoon. I don't watch cartoons.
Yeah. But you know what? I think with this series, the way that it has been kind of a slow burn a little bit, you didn't really need to watch it to appreciate it.
No, you didn't, but you should be watching all of it. Then you kind of get the back. You get what Rebels was about.
Yeah. You understand it more if you have watched Rebels. But, you know, if somebody really didn't want to, they could still watch this series and enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. And they could put the pieces together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, like I said myself, for whatever reason, I never watched the final season of Rebels, and I was feeling kind of lost at the beginning. So I went back and to rewatch. Turns out it was my first time watching it, the final season, and it was much more clear.
Yeah.
But I would be curious to know. I find that the chats that I'm in, they're all big Star Wars fans, so of course they've watched.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm in this one chat, and I think there's like maybe 10, 15 people in that chat, and there's like one person that didn't watch any of the Rebels. But again, I think we're all Star Wars fans, so of course we've all watched it. But for the average person, I'd be very curious to know. I think most people that watch Ahsoka probably, I think 60% is probably fair.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'd heard on watching a YouTube video, that they said the Ahsoka series was the number 2 Star Wars series in regards of viewership.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Obi-Wan Kenobi was the number one, and they said this was number two for viewership.
Interesting. Which is good news, which is great news, because I'd rather them have more viewers than have less, and then they go pull the plug on all of them, because I'm loving this. I'm loving getting these Star Wars series on Disney Plus. The red and blue flashing helmets, we all had theories that they mean something. Sometimes they were all red. Sometimes a good guy was red instead of blue, and they meant nothing. Nothing. They didn't mean anything. So
I think Dave Filoni was pulling our chain.
Yeah,
we overthought it.
Yeah, we overthought it. The other thing too is we were all convinced that Hera was no longer going to be a general after this series. We were all wrong about that one.
I love that. Yeah, I loved it.
Thank goodness for 3PO showing up, huh?
Yeah, that was a great scene.
Yep.
Yeah. I liked C-3PO. Was that Anthony Daniels in the suit? I never heard. I didn't really research much. Did either one of you find out anything?
No.
It was he was in the credits, but it could have been voice.
Yeah, I don't know if he was or wasn't.
I heard someone speculating saying that wasn't him in the suit, but it was his voice though.
Yeah. It was a new suit, because his neck was a lot thicker than it's ever been. So it could have been Anthony Daniels, and maybe he is a little bit thicker in the neck. I don't know.
True.
Maybe the one thing in that particular scene that I absolutely loved is when the Chancellor came to Hera and said, how bad is this, or whatever, how she put it. And she said, we need to prepare for the worst, but hope for the best. I loved that line.
Yeah,
that was
I wrote
quintessential Star Wars to me.
Well, yeah, and I like how Mon Mothma knew that C-3PO was stretching the truth.
Just a little.
Yeah.
I don't think 3PO was, but I think Leia was.
Yeah, Leia was, of course.
Yeah.
Well, and they brought up Moff Gideon on Mandalore and all that, so it tied it in. So it's right at the same timeline as everything. I loved how they're able to get Organa Solo in it, Leia in it without her being in it.
Right.
I thought that was awesome the way they did that. Because if she was still around, the actors, they would have probably got her to do like a hologram projection or something, but they didn't have to.
Yeah.
They worked around it.
Well, then they had Admiral Akbar in there.
I don't know if that was Admiral Akbar, if that was someone else.
I don't know. It sounded like him.
Same species. He had a different ranking for sure. He wasn't an admiral.
Well, they had two of his species there.
Okay.
And he was sitting right next to Mon Mothma and that other senator.
Okay, because didn't he have more of like a military insignia versus a Navy insignia, whereas an admiral would be associated with the Navy?
I don't know.
I read that somewhere. So it wasn't him. I don't know. It could be. That whole scene was amazing, though. I got so excited. I got chills when 3PO walked in. As soon as he said, "How rude!" when they wouldn't let him in, you knew right away.
Well, yeah, the senator didn't even want him to talk. He's like, discounted him, and Mon Mothma's like, "No, come here, C-3PO."
Yeah,
and he called him a mere droid.
Oh yeah, then Chopper started going nuts there, and
that was funny.
Is this senator going to end up joining the ranks of Thrawn? Is that a prediction?
I don't know. He seemed a little testy to me. He's trying to cause trouble. I think
he's an Imperial spy.
Yeah, very possible.
I'd have to agree. I think he's not on the side of the Republic or the rebellion.
Yeah. So we cut to the ship, Ahsoka's ship. We talked about it last episode. What was it? 1973 or something like that? The name of her ship. Anyways, doesn't matter. It's a T6.
Yeah.
Anakin training Ahsoka. I wasn't thrilled with the technology advancement with Anakin training Ahsoka, where he's able to walk. Mind you, I guess they did that in episode 1, right? Where they had the projectors walking. But
I don't know. I really liked that. I just thought.
Oh, so did I.
To me, it was very emotional, and her doing her, practice stuff and him talking. And I don't know. I just, you know, and at the end when she was done, he said, "You can do this, Ahsoka," and then it faded away, and she said then that was the last one of those that he had ever made for her out of like 20 that she possessed. And I don't know, to me that was just very emotional.
No, and I thought, go ahead, Stan.
But would you ever see that technology before where the camera follows her and his movements follows? Like, it just looked too like he was there as opposed to being a projection.
Well, I think we've seen that technology done before.
Maybe.
You know, but I enjoyed it. I liked it, you know, and I think after World Between Worlds, you know, Ahsoka has a whole different appreciation for Anakin, and she doesn't have no guilt no more, and now she's embracing it.
Yep.
And, you know, kind of go off topic a little bit, I am so glad Anakin was in this series, and with Hayden Christensen's being such a redemption and how he got beat up by the fans over the prequels and all this. I think he knocked it out of the park in this series, and with his being in this series and his redemption into Anakin.
Yeah, I agree completely. Yeah, 100%. I agree. It was great. It was absolutely great. I like the line where He Yang and Ahsoka were talking, and she was saying, how do you know that these Purgles are going to take us to the right galaxy? And if we do go to the right galaxy, what are the odds it's going to be at the right planet?
Yeah, that was funny.
like, why are droids always so pessimistic?
Yeah.
C-3PO. The odds of successfully navigating an asteroid field are 3,629 to 1.
Just like 3PO.
Yeah.
He's always giving the odds of things.
It's all black and white with them. It's all logical.
Yep. Yeah. And she just crosses her arms like she does and says, I think we'll be fine. It will work out.
Yes.
And of course, the Purgles come out, and it's an Imperial minefield that they stop in. I think, I know the Marvel Comics had an Imperial minefield way back when, but I like this technology that they had. I thought that was really cool that you would think that's a brilliant tactic to use in a military situation, as having this minefield in space.
Yeah. Well, and what I enjoyed too is just seeing after the whales or the Purgles, you know, were starting to get bombarded with those mines. They we're out of here.
Yep, they took off.
Well, you don't blame them.
Nope.
You know.
Well, we all thought that's where they were going to go to die. You know, they made their trek there, and it was over, and I was kind of glad to see it wasn't.
Yeah. So I guess the only reason why they did go round was to take Ahsoka there, basically.
I think so.
Yeah, they weren't ready to die yet. But I thought that was just so well done, and then the fighters. I love the sound of those fighters and the look of those fighters.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
It was like 9 of them that were trailing her, I think, at one point.
Well, and I like how the mothers, the Dathomir witches, and Thrawn realize that's Anakin's apprentice, and just to see his expression on his face of like, oh crap.
Right, because he had no. I was like shocked that he had no clue that she was Anakin Skywalker's apprentice. Why would he not know that if he knew Anakin Skywalker? Because he said he knew him.
Well, and I think some of that came down to with Ahsoka quitting the Jedi Order.
So maybe he didn't know him until after she left.
Yeah, it was probably maybe in that time period where they were separated.
Yeah, that did seem kind of odd, that whole part. But yeah, I guess
witches, they creeped me out in the animated series. They still creep me out.
I'm not a big fan of the whole witches. I gotta be honest. I'm not a big fan of the witches of Dathomir. I'm not a big fan of the World Between Worlds. It's the same thing in the Marvel. I'm not a fan of the microverse or whatever they call it, and I'm not a big fan at all of the quantum realm or whatever in Marvel.
Yeah.
It's just too majestic, too Harry Potterish to me or something. I don't know. It's just I'm not a fan of those of that. But I mean, if I got to get my Star Wars and that's what they're going to give me, I guess that's what I got to take. But
well, and some people always thought the Force was like that, you know?
Yeah.
You know, it's magic and hocus pocus and stuff like this. And, So now you literally got magic witches and you got the Force.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. The Force, I always enjoyed the Force. It was that's
Oh,
enough.
I
of that.
agree. I'm not going to argue there. I like it.
Yeah. So Sabine gets Ezra all caught up on everything that's happened while he was away with the Death Star and all that, and I'm guessing she told him about Luke and everything, and he's like, the Empire is gone and there's a new Republic, and we won, like this is great, like I can hardly wait to get home, and she's like, well, she didn't tell him yet that she didn't have a plan.
Yeah, it's still complicated.
I just love that scene though when they got to see each other again. It was like I almost started to cry.
There wasn't enough heart in it though. Like they didn't. That's going back to episode 6.
They needed more emotion, but it was still just after all this time that they, got to see each other again. It was just, my gosh, they finally found him.
If we talk about that interaction, what about the interaction at the end when Ezra's meeting Hera? They didn't hug either. They just kind of looked at each other. Only person Ezra hugged was Ahsoka.
Yep.
And Jedi ain't supposed to show no emotions or have no attachments.
I mean, Chopper went in for a hug.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chopper knew who he was.
Yeah.
And we want to jump forward a little bit. Why didn't Ezra come down that shuttle without the helmet?
I know, what an idiot. He comes down and takes the helmet off after he's
exactly. I was like, come on, you're going on to their ship. You see all these guys there with their blasters and all that. It's like, you take off your helmet at least, because first of all, you never see a stormtrooper without their helmet, and and I think it took Hera a few seconds to realize that was Ezra. But I just thought that was like, why wouldn't you do that?
He still could have taken a few seconds with the helmet off and have Chopper realize immediately who it was. That would have been cool.
Yeah,
that would have been cool. No, I agree.
Well, the interaction with going back to the episode with Ezra and Sabine talking about how we won the battle with the Empire, and Ezra's asking about the Emperor being dead, and she makes her comment, that's what we all think. It was a weird comment for sure. To say that, well, we think he's dead, or we assume everybody seems to think that. It's like, kind of foreshadowing what actually happened.
I like the battle with Ezra and Sabine versus the mercenaries. Ezra was a badass. He didn't need no saber, didn't need no blaster. I don't need no weapons.
Yeah, you go ahead, keep the lightsaber.
No stinking weapons.
I beat these guys every day. Slap them around.
No, that was pretty cool.
And then Ezra versus Shin Hati.
Shin, you know what? I got to tell you this. I do not like that character at all.
Who's little girl Sith?
Yes, I think they could have not had her in the whole series, and she would not have been missed. I did not like her.
She started to grow on me. I started liking her more and more towards the end. I didn't like some of her facial expressions. She just kind of sat there and just had a blank stare on her face at times.
I don't know if she's just not that great of an actress, or the part they gave her just really stunk, but I don't know. I didn't like her. That's just...
I don't know. I liked her. I thought it was cool, like how she had the Jedi tail.
Oh, the braid.
The Jedi braid. How Balin was kind of raising her as more of a Jedi than as a whatever he is.
Yeah. Whatever he is.
Yeah.
I don't know. The fact that they have red lightsabers tells you something.
Yeah. I liked Hugh Hang's line. He goes, well, they're all back together. I just hope I live long enough to see it.
Yeah.
But anyways, episode 7 was cool. I think the highlight was seeing C-3PO.
No, I agree. Yeah. That and seeing all of them back together again. Ahsoka, Sabine, and Ezra.
Yeah. That leads us to part 8, the Jedi, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Oh, the Warlord.
The Wardrobe. Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Was we watching a
franchise there, Stan?
Was this a Narnia episode?
Narnia. Yes.
I know. Like what a play on a title that makes absolutely no relevance to the episode. Yes. Like I didn't understand the titling.
Yep.
I liked how Morgan says there is little a Jedi could do to stop us now, and Thrawn kind of like lip smacks her.
I'm not
exactly
that again.
Yeah, I've watched many Imperial officer make the same assumptions about the rebellion.
Yep.
Now, didn't Thrawn leave before the rebellion was fully formed? Because he left before, like, Ezra was still not part of the rebellion. There were still these little sanctions all over the place, but it really wasn't a full.
No, because I think they left right before the Battle of Yavin, right before New Hope started.
I don't think the Death Star is even built yet when Thrawn left. The first Death Star.
I think it was in the process of being almost done.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because, mind you, I guess, so Ezra does have the Rebel logo, but it's the old logo with the stars around it.
Well, when you look in the Rebels, there was Leia. She was in it. She was in a few scenes of Rebels.
Well, yeah, and so was Saw
as a
Gerrera.
teenager. Yeah.
But they weren't really a fully fledged formed rebellion at this point. I don't think. Like,
I think maybe they were on the verge. I know
they were on the verge.
It wasn't in the beginning of it.
Yeah. So I guess when he says I've seen the same assumption about the rebellion. If he would have said about rebels, it made more sense. But I don't think the rebellion was the rebellion yet by the time Thrawn left. Like, I think there's all these little, like Saw Gerrera had a pocket of rebels, and Leia had a pocket of rebels, and Bail Organa had a pocket of rebels, and Mon Mothma had her little group, and then there was our Hera, Sabine, and Ezra group. But I don't think they were really the rebellion. At this point, I could be wrong, but anyway. But he says, even I fell victim to the heroics of a single Jedi. I think this is the first time Thrawn has ever admitted a defeat.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's just not in his nature to, like, admit something like that.
Yeah. I mean, like, everything can go totally wrong, like, for him. Like, it'd be thousands of troopers will die and 180 ships destroyed, and he'll get, well, that was a good lesson we learned.
Right.
I planned it that way just to get intel.
Yes.
It was all part of the bigger plan to lose that many people and lose that many ships and resources just to get some intel.
Well, if you think about it, Thrawn would have never lost if it wasn't for Ezra getting those Purgles to take him, because they were going to win.
Yeah. But he never admits it, though. That I think he's lost a couple of times, but he just never admitted it. Was the thing.
Yeah.
It was all part of a bigger plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
The three witches give Morgan the gift of shadows.
I don't consider that a gift.
You care about
that? Neither do I.
You burn
That's
your
more
eyeballs.
of a curse than a gift. Jeez.
Well, that gift left her stuck on the planet.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yes,
I know,
did.
exactly.
You're going to be collateral damage now.
Do you think that was his plan all along, was to leave her behind, so he was basically just using her?
Of course. I think so.
Yeah.
That was what hit me the minute I saw all that transpire. I'm like, oh, this was in his plan all along.
I got to get rid of this old lady. She's just dragging the place down. She's not
She's a real pain in the keister.
She's always around. She smells bad.
Well, I think he's using even the witches.
Oh, yeah.
The mothers, especially you look at the expression at the end of this episode of the mothers with Thrawn. He makes the comment, and then the mothers like just look at him like I think they're starting to figure out what's going on.
And he had his back to them, and he just had that really nasty grin on his face.
Yep.
Yeah. I think they're all using each other.
Yeah.
Actually, I think the witches are using him as well. But to get, I want to talk about that. We might as well talk about it now. The coffins, the cases, I think those are the witches in there.
Oh, I agree 100%.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think they're witches, and whatever the males are called. I think they're gonna try to get an army with them, bringing them all back.
Well, yeah, and he ends up bringing them all to Dathomir, which is what they want. They want to get back to Dathomir, and they were using him, and he's using them. I think they're all using each other, is what I feel.
Yeah.
I did like how he says to her, well, you kind of have to. He didn't say you have to stay behind, but he just said,
yeah, he pretty much
we need somebody to.
We need more time.
Yeah, we need more time. We need somebody to provide us with more time.
So instead of just saying you're staying, he just said that.
Yeah, and then he says, he says for the Empire, and then after he leaves, she kind of whispers for
Dathomir.
Right.
Yeah. She doesn't, and so she knows what the witch's plan is. Also, they don't care about the Empire that much.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the witches didn't like that. He started bombing their temple when they were leaving.
Yeah.
I think that's what the looks that the witches gave when they realized he was doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But and they said that, like Ezra says to Sabine and Ahsoka that Thrawn woke the witches. He woke the three witches up. I'm guessing it's True Love's first kiss that he used. That seems to be the way you wake up people in these fairy tales. But it just seemed interesting. Like, so he woke up these three. I'm thinking there's a lot more of them, and that's what I'm thinking that was part of my reasoning for that.
Yeah, they were like in hibernation, sleep, or something to that effect.
Yeah. Ezra builds a new lightsaber. That whole scene was hilarious.
Yes. That was
with him in the interaction of Hu Yang, and then Ezra changed his tune when he realized he knew Kanan.
Yeah.
Especially as a little Padawan, and help him build his lightsaber. That kind of changed his tune.
Yeah. I thought that was.
And he said, "How old are you anyway?"
Okay, so Skeleton Crew is our next series. Are we going to see Hu Yang in Skeleton Crew? Do we think?
I think the only way we see him is if they find him. If they find it, Hu Yang and Ahsoka.
Right, because Skeleton Crew is supposed to be in this time area.
Yes, correct.
Right, so they're doing an Old Republic movie, I think, or something, right?
Yeah, isn't that what's supposed to with the acolytes?
Right. Are we going to see Hu Yang in that?
You would think. Wasn't we told that he's like 900 years old or
Something
1,000
like
years old like that?
Yeah.
So I would think so, or maybe some mention of him.
Yeah, like he would have taught Yoda how to make his lightsaber.
Yeah.
So. Anyways, I thought that was just so cool, that whole scene, and he's looking around and just kind of ignoring Hu Yang until he finds out that he knew his former master. So Thrawn sends out 2 TIE fighters to try to delay them a bit, to give them more time to finish loading and whatnot. Why send bunch? What doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I don't think he wants to. I think he's limited on resources.
Yeah.
When it comes to the stormtroopers and his TIE fighters, that's the thing that we don't know, is how much of his crew did he lose in this time period of him being stranded on that planet, or searching the galaxy for all that matter.
Well, he did say he's very low on resources.
Yep.
He said that you guys came just in time because.
Well, I think all he was doing just to try to buy some time, just to slow them up so they can get out of there.
Yeah.
I don't think he wanted. There's something bigger to this with him. Like, he literally wants to hurry up and get out of there.
Oh yeah.
There's something else going on in this planet or this galaxy that he wants to be out and be gone. Not just because he's homesick.
Right.
There's something else going on, and I think that's what Balin is sensing and trying to figure out.
So you think Thrawn is basically running scared at this point?
Yeah, I do. I think he's ready to get out of there.
Yeah. So speaking of Balin, so are we going to see Balin in the future? It's like, what's happening now? Like, Ray Stevenson is no longer with us, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. Between him and Luke and Leia, they're in this timeline of Star Wars. They got to recast them. They got to recast Leia and either, spend the money with the computer de-aging and this and that. They got to do something. Luke plays too big of a part in this timeline, in this universe. When they come back, I think they got to recast Ray Stevenson in this. Because
if they're going to continue that character, they're going to have
exactly. If they're going to do Ahsoka season 2, or if they get tied on to Skeleton Crew for some reason or whatnot, or the new movies, they have to. You just can't just forget about it.
Well, that's just it. Like, in this timeline, Luke is building his Jedi school. Now we got Ezra is back in the galaxy. They gotta meet. They gotta introduce Luke and Ezra together.
I agree.
And does this diminish what Yoda said? He says, you were the last Jedi, but there is another, your sister, just before Yoda passes away. I guess it doesn't really diminish. Like some people are saying, well, this isn't right because Yoda didn't say, at the time, Ezra was in a different galaxy when Yoda dies.
Right.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't sense it, and he's not, and he's a essentially a Padawan. He's not really a full-flown Jedi yet either.
Right. Yeah. But he is a good Force user. He's been using it a lot longer than Luke has.
No, you're right. He has been. But that being said, he was being trained by Kanan.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Luke wasn't being trained by no one.
Seeing Ezra using his powers in these last 2 episodes, and when he was jumping from the tower there to the ship, and they had the old Star Wars music playing.
Yeah, that was neat.
And Sabine was pushing him. I mean, that sent a chill up my back when that whole thing was going on. And that just really made a big impression on me. I just loved that scene.
Yeah, we finally got to see Sabine using the Force, you know, with her getting her lightsaber, then doing the helping Ezra doing the Force jump.
Yep.
And pushing him.
And again, like I've heard people complain, they're saying like, well, this diminishes what Luke did because it took Luke 3 years before he could force pull his lightsaber, and here Sabine's able to do it. Well, Sabine's actually been kind of practicing for 10 years.
She has, yes.
It's not like she just started practicing this week.
No.
Well, and I think a lot of it comes down to, with how we talked about Ahsoka and Anakin, and how Ahsoka, got rid of the guilt. And I think Sabine Ahsoka and Sabine are finally on the same page, and with Ahsoka talking to her and says, you know what, I trust you. I think that's what she needed. I think she was Sabine was forcing it too much and not letting it come to her.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I think so. How cool was it seeing the trio once they got into the tower, the 3 lightsabers and the 3?
That was great.
That was awesome.
That was cool.
And they got the bunch of stormtroopers there, and they
all came back to life.
They short order. I was right, zombie troopers.
Well, and Ahsoka goes to Ezra, is like, has this happened before? Have you ever seen this before?
Yeah, well, we kind of did. We kind of seen zombie troopers in the past.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
No, it was great. It was nice seeing those 3 together and battling it out.
I want to see somebody do a thing where they start off with that whole, and when all those troopers are lying there dead, and then they get reanimated as zombies. I want to see somebody do the Michael Jackson music and have them start stuffing together.
Do the Thriller,
yeah. Get the thriller going.
Pretty funny.
Do the shoulder thing and
I'm sure it's only a matter of time.
Some fanboys out there working on that for sure.
Yeah.
And again, if you want to lock a door in Star Wars, you just blast it or hit it with your lightsaber and the door's locked. If you want to open the door, you just blast it or hit it with your lightsaber and the door's unlocked.
Yeah.
Every time. That's the go-to in the Star Wars writing.
Well, then Sabine fighting that stormtrooper, the black one. She Force got her lightsaber and stuck him right through the head. And then Ezra got rid of one of them, the other one, and took his head right off.
Yeah. It was cool. I mean, they're moving slow. These guys, just all you got to do is cut their legs off. They can't follow you anymore.
Right.
They're not fast zombies. They're the slow style zombies.
Yeah.
So Morgan is killed by Ahsoka. That was a cool battle.
Yes.
The Ahsoka Morgan. She has that saber that can't break or whatever it is.
The Talcin, the blade of, was it Talcin?
Yeah. And Ahsoka and Sabine give chase in Ahsoka's ship. Looks like Huang fixed it again. He's with
the help of the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. Were they helping? Or were they just in the way?
I think they were more in the way than anything.
Huang is an amazing droid to have with you. Like, he could fix anything.
Yeah.
That's what Mando needs with him, is this droid.
Yeah, for sure.
He could have rebuilt that ship that blew up his it was just pieces. So we end with Ahsoka and Sabine, along with Morgan and little girl Sith, stuck on the planet, and Ezra and Thrawn and the witches go to Dathomir. Is that a happy ending? Ahsoka seems to think it is.
Well, and I think that just leaves a lot open. You have Balin on the statues, and those are essentially the Mortis gods.
Yep.
So that leaves a big opening for that. Like we talked earlier, you can't just not bring him back. I think he plays with that scene right there is a big scene in the future of Star Wars. Then
they got to have had a plan for what was going to happen with him on that. So is that going to be a novel now, or is it going to be a comic book? Is it going to be an animated series? Are they going to recast? Are they going to CGI him?
I think you got to recast them.
Yeah.
It has to be live action.
Yeah, for live action. Then what you got? Shin Hati going to be the warlord of those
mercenaries,
the red mercenaries.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I thought that was kind of where she sticks her lightsaber up and looks right at him and like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
I know. Like, was she surrendering? Is she like, I own you now?
I think so. I'm your new boss.
Either one works fine for me. You know, so
that was just a weird scene.
I thought that was weird.
Yeah. Another thing too that was really weird. It was okay. So Sabine gets to finds Ezra on her howler. She has that dog horse thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then Shin comes on a howler.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so whatever happens with her, I think she ends up walking away. I don't think she rides a howler away. But now all of a sudden, Ahsoka, Sabine, and Ezra are riding two howlers.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming the second howler came from Shin. But at the end, Shin's riding a howler.
Got one.
Well, Ahsoka got Balin's howler.
Mm-hmm.
When they were fighting, then when the Hu Yang came in there and dropped his flares to distract them, and Ahsoka went off and took off with his howler, and that's how they connected with Sabine and Ezra.
So that's how they got the second one. Okay. Yeah. I was trying to figure, where did this second one come from all of a sudden? Because Ezra was surprised. Hey, you came on a howler. I didn't, that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, like he didn't have one. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so we talked about the Ezra meeting the troopers and all that. We talked about what's the plan with Balin. We don't know. It's going to be interesting. Is there going to be a season 2? Are we getting a season 2 here?
Oh, I hope so.
Is the next season going to be called Ezra?
It's either going to be season 2 or it's going to be part of the movie.
Yeah, it's a long wait for the movie. It's a long wait for the movie. I know at Celebration, Filoni mentioned something about somebody was asked or yelled from the audience or something about season 2, and he said, "Well, we're waiting to see if people like season 1." Was kind of what his response was. He never really said there is no season 2. He never said there's definitely season 2. He just said, "Well, we're waiting to see what people think of season 1 first."
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. There's got to be a season 2. They left too much open.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and that being said, it's with the writer strike and with the actor strike, now the writers are back on, but the actors are still on strike. If there is a season 2, it's going to be in 2025 at the earliest.
Yeah.
And at that point, it'll probably be fall of 2025, the way things are moving.
Yeah, that's true. That strike is really putting a damper on our things.
Sure is.
Zeb was not in any of the episodes.
No.
I am absolutely shocked. I thought for sure we would see him.
Totally bummed that he did not make an appearance.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't make an appearance at least on the ship at the end when Ezra was there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or even one of those X-Wings when he went with.
He could have been escorting him in there.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
yeah. Zeb wasn't in. I don't know. It blew me away that he wasn't in there.
Yep.
Where do we rank this series of the? Mando 1 and 2, Book of Boba Fett, Kenobi, Andor. Now we got Ahsoka.
This is tough to say. Oh well, this one's 1, this one's 2, this one's 3. Because there's
I have no problem. I have no problem doing that.
To me, there's so many that were great and they're kind of equal. They're all different, but equal as far as how much I liked them.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't really say, well, this is 1, 2, 3, because you're going to go down. There's so many now that you're going to, I'm going to put this one at number 7, but it was great. So how can I really?
Okay, Chris, what's your favorite Star Wars movie of the 9 movies?
Rogue One.
There you go. But I guess that's not one of the 9, but okay. Yeah. So of the 11 movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's easy to do, right?
I don't know. That's easy for me, the movies, but these shows, they've all done such a great job with them that it's hard to say, oh, well, this one's the best or that.
Yeah, I think there's so many difference. I loved Andor for what it was. It was something totally different.
Yep.
I like Mando season 1. That was great because we got to see Star Wars again in a different perspective.
Yeah. I think Mando season 1 and season 2 are up the top for me. Andor is probably 3rd.
Yeah, I loved Obi-Wan.
And then Kenobi's actually, Kenobi's up there too. Yeah.
I would say I don't know. It's like comparing your kids. Who's your favorite kid? You just it's hard to do it. I can say that I only have one kid, so
it is hard to compare your kids too.
Yep. Yeah. But I don't know. I really enjoyed Kenobi. I liked Mando. There, when you do a whole season, there's do I like every episode of Mando 1 and 2 and Book of Boba Fett? There are some things I liked about Book of Boba Fett, and there's things that I didn't like about Book of Boba Fett.
Yep.
Yeah. For me, I think Book of Boba Fett's at the bottom of the. Yeah,
I would probably have to agree with that. But between Mando 1 and 2 and Andor and Kenobi and Ahsoka, it's hard to it's hard.
Yeah. I'm putting Ahsoka right above Book of Boba Fett.
If I had to say, maybe Ahsoka is probably it could be number 2 to 4, depending on what I've watched recently. Right now, I really liked it. I would say it's probably number 2 for me.
Did the World Between Worlds episode do anything? Was it necessary?
I think it
was necessary.
I think it played a big arc on, like I talked about earlier with
her growth,
Anakin, and her. It cleared a lot of things up for her. She came out a different person after doing that.
Yeah. And when we look back at the first episode of this series, we had a very moody, almost glum Ahsoka.
Yeah, no, we did.
Yeah,
she was, like we talked earlier in this. She was very stoic.
Yeah,
and as it went on, I think after World Between Worlds, she came out a different person. She had more emotion, and she wasn't standing around as a statue, it looked like.
Right.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, she did grow a lot in this series. I know.
Now it all makes sense why she probably was the acting that we've seen in the first couple episodes. I think literally she was acting it because that's what her part was. It wasn't because of a bad acting or bad directing. Right. This is like, no, this is what we want you to do.
Yeah.
You're essentially a hurt person.
Yeah. Going through life, kind of not knowing what to do, not knowing where she belongs. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, she did have a great character arc for sure. I think Sabine had a great character arc through this whole thing. She grew an awful lot.
Oh, I think she did in the beginning. The middle episodes, I got tired of her, but the last couple episodes, I really, I appreciated her more, and it was her character arc, so I enjoyed her the last couple episodes.
I'm curious to see if Wang still thinks she's the worst Jedi she's ever seen, or if he's changed.
That's pretty sad when he says that, because he's been around for 1,000 a year.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's seen tens of thousands of Jedi to put her at the worst.
Yeah, you're one of the worst I've ever seen. I guess the other question too is, how much toilet paper does she have on her ship? Because they're going to be there for a while, and you don't know what happened during COVID when the toilet paper ran out. People went nuts.
Yeah.
And Sabine's loft cat. Who's taking care of it?
Yeah.
Up in that tower.
Yep.
I feel sorry for that little guy. Anyways, this has been fun, guys.
Yeah.
Is there any final thoughts or anything else we want to mention?
I don't know. I'm just crossing my fingers for season 2.
Yeah,
it happens.
Yeah, it can't come soon enough. Whether it's season 2 or if it's they find him in Skeleton Crew or if it's a movie, I think time will tell. And
I think a Skeleton Crew would be really cool if that happened.
And I think if we do see him in Skeleton Crew, it'll be like towards one of the last couple episodes of it.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't think they find him right off the bat, because they got to explain their characters and why they're at where they're at.
Just a 3-hour tour, and they hit a storm and they ended up in a different galaxy. And they're lost, and they're trying to get home, and they come across Ahsoka
they found the cave open, and they parked in the cave, and they didn't realize it was a Purgle that took them to a different galaxy.
There you go. Yeah, they were riding in the cave. They thought it was a cave. Perfect.
That being said, guys, it was fun being with you guys and being on for another season. It was great. Thank you.
Yeah, Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing these roundtables. I hope our listeners enjoy them as well. Let us know. Do you enjoy listening to these roundtables? Send me an email, a message, whatever. I'd love to hear from you. And what were your thoughts on the Ahsoka series? Loved it? Hate it? Let me know. I'm very curious to see what our listeners think about the whole series.
Yes.
Unfortunately, Ken wasn't able to make it today, but Ken, you can take it away.
If you have a brilliant idea for a future edition of The Solo Show and would like to take your turn in the guest host's chair, then drop us an email at thesoloshow01@gmail.com. Tell us your idea for the show, and we'll contact you about a date and a time for you to join us. If you would just like to keep the conversation going or have a comment about a previous show, then visit us on Facebook at The Solo Show. All logos, sounds, and songs that are made by and for Disney and its affiliates are owned solely by the Disney Corporation and are not, nor are they intended to be, the ownership of The Solo Show podcast. We hope you'll join us for the next adventure on The Solo Show. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.